Before we begin, I'd like to issue out a bit of a disclaimer or a parental advisory. There is a bit of language in this video. I say the word balls. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Shanerator. Now tell me something. Do you like stories? Good, I'm glad to hear that. Now I didn't actually hear what you said, but there is in fact only one correct answer. Yes, because studies indicate that there are only two types of people in this world. There are those that love stories, and there are those who are lying if they say anything else. I'm glad we got that out of the way, because what I have for you is, in fact, a story. One that is 100% true with zero embellishment. Now, I've had kind of an illustrious career as a young man living here on planet Earth. My dad was in the Navy, and I, by extension, was a Navy brat. And one of the locations we lived at, out of all the places in the world, was Japan. Now, I've had a lot of experiences living over in Japan. Some awesome ones related to food, culture, the people that you encounter over there. But there is specifically one instance that has stuck out to me above all the rest. And interestingly enough, it didn't involve anything that was particularly Japanese. It involved one other person, my little brother. Now, at the time, I was approximately 12 years of age, and I am 7 years older than my brother. So doing the math, my brother was 5 years old when this happened. And here is how this story began. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, it was like any other morning there in Japan. Fairly average, but very beautiful. And our protagonist of the story, shanerator, ventures into the living room. There, he encounters another living being, his brother Jake. And no, I don't know what kind of accent that was either. It just sounded epic. There was my brother, just kind of kneeled in front of the television screen, watching just some arbitrary kids show. And I just kind of aloofly walk into the living room, and then my brother Jake looks up at me with kind of this like weird, creepy, mysterious grin, like he knew something I didn't. Hey. And the reasoning for that is, well, he did know something that I didn't. Oh, morning, Jake. Hey, I know where babies come from. Oh. I was mortified for a few moments, but that terror was immediately overcome by an overwhelming sense of curiosity. Wait, Jake, so you're telling me that you know where babies come from? Why don't you just come over here, sit right next to me, and tell me all about it? Okay. He sat right next to me and then proceeded to tell me what was a very revolutionary take on the origin of life. What he told me initially started off relatively normal. Jake told me that there's a man and then there's a woman and that they get married. Pretty normal so far. And so what happens is after these two get married, they get into bed. Don't worry, this is all from a 5-year-old's perspective. It doesn't get too weird, but I'm not gonna say it's not weird, period. After a man and a woman get married and get into bed, they proceed to kiss, he says. So far, that's pretty much the way it goes. What happens next? Well, and then what he said next was not exactly what I was expecting. He said, each man has a certain number of balls, and each ball that a man has turns into a baby. I have 2 balls, so that means that I'm gonna have 2 babies. And then, of course, I had to ask the obvious follow-up question. So, Jake, what you're saying that is, if I have 16 balls, that means I'm gonna have 16 babies? According to what he told me, during the process of kissing, one of the balls that the man has comes up through his stomach, out of his mouth, and goes into the lady's mouth, where it then goes into her stomach and turns into a baby. He looked at me with those innocent eyes. No semblance of compunction within them. So how could I dispute the facts that he put forth so conclusively? Well, Jake, that's very interesting. So after the ball turns into a baby, what happens next? Well, when the baby gets really big in her stomach, it then comes out her butt. Her what? Her butt. The baby comes out her butt. You can probably imagine that I was pretty dumbfounded by all this information. So where in the world does a 5-year-old derive such a profound notion on the reproductive cycle? Well, it's a good thing that I asked him. Reading Rainbow. Oh. And there you have it. Where babies come from as observed through the lens of a 5-year-old, my little brother, as originally aired on Reading Rainbow. But you don't have to take my word for it.